on, Trev. Hello everyone and welcome to... It's cold today, Trev. It's the summer's gone. It was here when we were on the beach for the last episode, which was episode 21, I seem to recall. This is episode 22 of BeerSwedenTV. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to try a couple of beers that you won't normally see in my fridge, if I'm being brutally honest with you. These are low carbohydrate, low carb beers. The reason that we're drinking them today is actually because I got an email about a week ago from a Beer Sweden follower who asked me that and explained that he is diabetic and he wondered what sorts of beers should he be drinking as part of his diabetic diet. And that sort of started this whole thing off. So I've been spending hours upon hours roaming through, sifting through the internet to try and find you the answers. Well, about an hour actually, just before this show, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, I found a few interesting facts and figures. So that's what we're going to be talking about, low carb beer. And we're going to sort of divide it into two parts. First of all, we're going to talk about low carb beers and how they relate to diabetes in particular, so I can answer my friend's question specifically. And then we're going to talk about, which is quite the serious sort of stuff, okay? And then we're going to talk about low carb beer in relation to losing weight, which is, in my opinion, a little more, or a little less serious, shall we say. So they're the two issues that we're going to tackle. Let's start with the serious one first. Now, before I do start, I have to point out, Trev, I've got to point this out. This is sort of like a medical throw-up warning signs, you know, ambulances going by, all sort of thing. This is not a serious medical show. This isn't like Grey's Anatomy or House or anything like that. This is, let's be honest, a beer blog, okay? Talk about beer all the time. So please, please don't take anything I'm going to say in the next 2 or 3 minutes that seriously. I would advise you, if you've got any issues or questions about diabetes or diet in general and beer, the best thing to do, contact your local doctor, do the research yourself on the internet. There's plenty of resources online out there for you, so you can check all these facts and figures. This is basically what I've dug up. This is my interpretation of it. Okay, but as I understand it, diabetes and beer drinking, can you put the two together? Well, yes you can, in moderation, and I think that's something that I generally recommend to anyone, diabetic or not. Beer, when drunk in moderation as part of a healthy lifestyle, can actually be beneficial to you and can be, let's be honest, enjoyable. That's the point of beer. But in terms of diabetes, it's the alcohol in beer really, to me, as in my understanding, is a thing that you have to be quite careful of, because alcohol per se actually decreases the liver's ability to release glucose. This is the medical bit now, Trevor. You still with me? Yeah? Okay, so what happens is that the liver, of course, when alcohol gets into the system, the liver actually sort of, it switches jobs in a way, and it starts working overtime to try and clean out the alcohol that's in your bloodstream. And while it's doing that, it's not producing glucose, okay? And that sort of glucose shutdown sort of mode can actually increase the risk of hyperglycemia, okay? Got it? Do you understand that? Yeah? Good stuff. Okay, that's lower blood sugar. And of course, if you're diabetic, there's an issue there. So, lower alcohol beers generally are actually better for you. Now, low carb beers generally actually do have less alcohol in them. It's one of the sort of methods they use to reduce the amount of the amount of carbohydrates, because alcohol per se is calorific. Okay? So a lot of them actually reduce the alcohol. Now, I don't know all the numbers in my head, Trev, to be honest with you, but I've got a little cheat sheet here. Don't normally sort of script all this stuff, but I've written a few down. Now, in America, of course, low carb beer is all the rage. Has been since, I think, about 2002 when Michelob Ultra, I think, sort of burst onto the American scene. That was the first low carb beer out there. And since then, it's become a huge category in America. Now, in Sweden, these are the only two low-carb beers that I can actually find. Zoom into this one, Trev. The first one is from Spendrups, our good friends over there. Hi. Spendrups Bright. Okay, this is, actually says on the thing, it is a fresh beer with 50% less carbohydrates. The other one is from their arch rival, Carlsberg Prips, called Prips Blå Pure. Pure what, Trev? Pure what? Pure? Okay. So, they're the two beers. Do I have to try? They're the two beers that we'll be trying a little bit later on. if we've got time. So basically, what happens is they normally reduce the alcohol level. Let's have a look. Bud Light, 94 calories, 6.6 grams of carbohydrates, 4.2%. Corona Light, 4.2%. Miller Light, 4.5%. Amstel Light, 3.5%. Sort of stuff you could actually buy in your shops. But here in Sweden, actually, gone slightly the other way. 5%. They've not really reduced the alcohol content at all. This little puppy here, 4.8%. Okay, so the alcohol per se is actually no less than in really standard beers. So I would suggest, from a diabetic point of view, you're probably just better to actually drink any type of beer. Perhaps I would suggest one with a little bit more flavour in it, you know, but obviously moderate your consumption. That really is the key. Okay. Now, if you're into weight loss, I'm going to name a few diets for you because it's all the rage now. Low carb diets. Trev, you ever been on a low carb diet? No, obviously not. Okay. Well, listen. There are some. These might be familiar to some of you. Anabolic diet. Yeah. Atkins. Of course, everyone knows about that one. Duncan diet, know that? Duncan Donuts, that. Hamptons diet, that sounds quite nice, Trev. It's like you can sort of go to the countryside, isn't it? Going to spend the weekend in the Hamptons, okay? Ketogenic diet, sounds a bit sci-fi. And my particular favourite, actually, the one that I found, which I like the most, is the Schwarzbein principle. That's not even a diet, it's a principle. What's that? Sounds like the name of a good film with like Julia Roberts in it. The Schwarzbein principle. Anyway, the general rule of this is that low carbohydrates, restrict the intake of low carbohydrates or carbohydrates in an attempt to lose weight. Okay? Well, carbohydrates per se have calorific value. 1 gram of carbohydrates equals 4 calories. So what they're trying to do is reduce the amount of carbs you take in, it's the amount of calories that you actually consume. Because let's be honest, if you're losing weight, it's all about restricting the amount of calories. You can actually dress it up any way you like, but if you take in less calories and you burn more calories off, you lose weight. Simple as that. It can be beer, it could be kebabs, it's up to you how you do it, but you're trying to reduce your calorific intake. So, do I need to try these beers, Trev?
You're looking forward to it, aren't you?
Listen, throw up all the details of this one here. We're going to do this very quick because I think it should be. The first one I'm going to try is Pripps Blå, 4.8. I was going to work out the calorific content. I think it's roughly 90 calories per serving, per bottle here. I'm going to give it a swirl. Trev?
Why?
I'm losing weight doing this. I'm burning calories, look.
How's the colour?
Right, and we'll move on to the next one. This is Spendrup's Bright. Okay, if you can throw up that, oh, must have had at least 5 calories went there, Trev. Let's pour this one up. Look at a very attractive sort of horse urine colour.
I used to have a cat.
Yeah, okay. Let's give this one a little swirl, see if there's any difference. Actually there is, it's slightly more malty actually, I have to say, slightly more malty, a little bit more sort of toffee notes to it. When I say little, I mean little, like a toffee. More prickly carbonation in there, a little bit more carbonated. To me, to be honest with you, the better of the two. Trev, I was thinking about doing this. If that's 50% less carbohydrates, and that's 50% less carbohydrates, if I do that, is this 100% carbonated carbohydrate beer?
Of course.
Well, actually, that's slightly better. So my recommendation would be, if you actually want to try low carb beer, buy both of those and pour them into the same glass. I'm going to give it flat out 1.5, and I'm going to give Pripps or Carlsberg Pripps 1. Okay. Quite frankly, you're talking about 30 calories difference between this and a normal bottle of beer. 30 calories. I've worked out, Trev. If you actually go into your living room and rearrange your furniture for 7 minutes, you've burnt that. Okay. So that's a much, I would suggest, better way of approaching beer. Drink the proper stuff, but drink less of it if you want to lose weight. The other way of doing it, of course, is my biggest tip for all of you: run. Cheers and beers.